Hello and welcome to my channel. In my last video I showed you how this tool post milling spindle is assembled. In this video I'm going to show you how this holder for this tool post milling spindle was made. So this holder works by sliding the spindle in, then you can clamp it. To make this holder I started with two parts, some round stock and some flat stock. I milled this step in the flat stock and also radiused one side. Then the round stock was bored to around this size, and then my friend Mark was so kind to weld both parts together. Then the part was heat treated for stress relief, and then I got the part back. And then I bored, threaded and counterbored the holes for the screws. Next operation was to clamp the holder in the tool post and align it. And then the long and tedious process of boring this out to 40 millimeters started. Once I was finished with that, I cut off the holding allowance, milled it flat in the lathe and also the backside. Then the last step was cutting this slot here, and for that I used regular 125 millimeter angle grinder disc that I mounted with a self-made arbor in my mill. And then this part was finished. Now let's head over to Mark's place, where we start on the lathe, drilling out the round stock.
This will take forever, but one more.
His Schaublin 125 CNC lathe, having almost unlimited torque, made it possible to go directly from an 8mm drill to a 25mm drill. The next operation was boring out the round stock to 30mm. We did this with the wrong tool, a buttress threading insert, but the lathe powered through with no issue. The next step was welding, but I let Mark explain that.
Right, let's just spot this together. Christian did such a beautiful job of machining this curve that it fixtures like perfectly with just a tie wrap.
Yeah, looks good.
Prettiest part yet. Actually got a bit more control that time, so kind of happy with that little bit. One more across the inside, and
Yeah,
which is up, which
the other way around.
the other way.
Yeah.
So that's what you're going to see. Well, I'm pretty satisfied with those welds. They're not too bad. I put 3 layers on that side and did it with just 2 on this side. Next, we'll give it an hour in the oven at just under 600 degrees. So plop it in. Okay, it's now a couple of days later. I've done the whatever the heat treatment is just to remove the stress, and it's looking pretty black. But hopefully this should come off quite easily with a bit of wire brushing. So let's see how it comes out.
We are now back in my shop, and after removing the scale from the heat treating process, I'm now trying to mount the part in the vise to mill off a bit of the weld for clearance. But here, right now, I'm finding out that the round part and the square part are not perfectly aligned, so I have to figure out something else to mount it. I will do that by placing a block under the square part and clamping it that way. And to save you from watching me 5 minutes struggling, I will fast forward this part now. Let's take another look. $14 point something. Okay, that's great. So now I need to drill the hole. This will be, the center will be 8.5 millimeters in from this edge. This was planned to be 62 millimeters, so I'm going 16 plus 30. And then we had 16. And 46. Okay, first of all, let's down a bit. Check again. Yeah, still perfectly. So now let's align. Yeah, okay, we're spot on. And we're also looking good. So now I'm going to just zero the hand wheel and Now let's move the second position. Yeah, looks good. Now I need to switch to the drill. Need to go up a little bit more. Okay. I had to redo the setup a bit because I noticed that the drill would have interfered with the block that I have put below the part. So now I have repositioned it and we can continue drilling. First hole is finished. So I think I should be at the correct position. Okay, but first I need to once again think about the spacer. Can I just I'm going to just remove it. The next operation is drilling the through hole. Okay, first let's take a look. How deep do I have to go? I've scribed the line where the cut will be. Okay, that's around here. Let's zero this and go back. Where we have been before. Next step is counterboring. Is this enough travel? Yeah. Okay. Zero. And use lots of oil. And let's go slow. After completing the counterboring operation, I am now cutting the thread. I start the thread with the milling machine and then continue by hand. Both drilling, the counterboring and the threading operation is repeated for the second mounting hole. I then move the part to the lathe to continue boring it. The tool post holder is now mounted in the tool post of my lathe. Right now I'm aligning it to be perfectly square to the lathe bed. Then I'm facing off the front and starting to bore the inside of the holder so that I then can later hold it in the chuck. You can also see the holding allowance of the holder. This will at a later step be cut off and then once again faced off.
Yeah, that should work.
It looks like it worked. Next I need to somehow find the center. Yeah, I think. Maybe okay. Yeah, okay. So now I am on center. This worked. Wow. You can see it was successful. I used the boring head in the spindle of my lathe, mounted the tool holder to the tool post holder to the tool post, and then used it to establish a new true inside surface. And now I'm going to mount the chuck again and clamp it from the inside, and then I should be able to bore it out to size. I have decided on holding the part on the outside since I'm only doing a boring operation. Since the clamping part and the barrel are not perfectly aligned, I have to indicate on the clamping surfaces of the holder first. I have now indicated this and this surface. As you can see, the clocks are not moving that much. That's just fine for me. The holder is now mounted in the lathe, but before I can start the boring operation, I have to mount a counterweight because the part is so much out of balance. Let's see how this goes. Wow. It's now, I don't know, 2 hours later, and I finished mostly boring it out, and I hope I can improve this horrible finish a little bit. is a piece of the thing I used for the spindle. I assume it will change shape a little bit when I remove the clamps, and also when I cut it open. I think I can remove the clamps now. For the finish pass. Let's try again. No, can't. No, it's not. Nah, it's the same. Okay, so let's do a 500th pass. So let's take a look. Yeah, as expected, it was a little bit egg-shaped. That's So now the surface finish is once more not that great. I'm now finished with boring it out. It was a lot of work. It took me a long time. I had to remount some lead counterweights. As you can see, it's extremely out of center. Here we have, I don't know, 3 millimeters, and here 1 millimeter. And as you can see, I've phased it off. And next step is cutting this piece off, mounting it in the tool post, and using once again the boring head in the spindle to phase this side off. It's the next day, and I am now going to face this surface here, and I got tired of removing the chuck, so I just clamped a left-hand tool into my chuck. I hope it's not going to move and fly out or destroy the surface or break one of my last inserts. But I am now trying to face this. So we're cutting. Okay, so I hope it's now good looking, because I don't want to line it again. I guess it looks okay. Now I'm going to mount this to the mill, and for the slit going here I need to tilt it 12 degrees down. To be able to mount my inclinometer, I clamped a 1, 2, 3 block to it, and now I'm trying to figure out how to set this all up. And I'm going to start by moving the head up a little bit. Yeah, this could work. So let's turn it on. Okay, it's zeroed. And I need... how do I do that? I want to clamp it here as well, not only on the barrel. I hope this is visible. Let's move the camera a bit. So this is the setup I came up with. This is now clamped. Both these surfaces should be parallel. It looks good. I clamped the 1, 2, 3 block to the top surface. The top surface is parallel to the bottom one. I wasn't able to use the bottom one because I think there's not enough space. I touched with a file to get rid of the burrs from the screws pressing in. So I think the next step is covering the mill a bit so that I don't get all grinding dust all over the place. So let's cover everything here. Then I start by we're back. I just finished cutting the slit in it. On the last cut I used this tool to just exert a little bit of force to prevent closing down. And yeah, that's it. I have now finished machining the holder. Just to recap, first I machined this block here, then I prepared the barrel, then Mark welded the block to the barrel and stress relief heat treated it, then I got it back, then I drilled, tapped and counterbored the holes for the screws, then I bored it out, and the last step was cutting the slit. And for cutting the slit I used just a regular angle grinder cut-off disc, like this one here, and I made an arbor. The disc itself is held in by 2 3D printed spacers. This completes the build of the holder for the tool post milling spindle. A huge thanks goes out to Mark for helping me with preparing the round stock on his lathe and welding it. Thank you very much. Please be sure to check out his channel, linked below. My next video will be about how to drive this spindle. So until then, thank you all for watching and goodbye.